Is Tron Ares the best movie ever made? No, absolutely not. Did I walk out of that theater thoroughly hating it? Also no. Okay, Tron Ares. I was originally going to go see this movie on Thursday preview, I think afternoon sometime, and I ended up canceling it. One, because I was just too busy. There was too much going on, too much to watch, too many things to review, day job stuff I had to take care of. Just didn't feel the pull. Also, because I'm not super into Tron, kind of tied in with not feeling the pull. I never really have been super into Tron. I remember when the first movie came out, I had the read-along book, and that got me so hyped for the film. But then when I ended up seeing it, after it finally came to home video, I remember feeling a bit let down. And when Tron Legacy came out, I had no real desire to watch it. But I did recently watch it for a live stream I was on a couple weeks ago. Actually, the day before Tron Ares came out. Anyway, I decided last night, I was listening to a live stream, and they were talking about this movie, and they had good things to say about it. And I decided, I don't have anything going on tomorrow night. Let me go ahead and buy a ticket to this movie. So I just got back. I have not organized my notes, which is why I feel like this review might go a little off the rails. No, not really. I haven't organized my notes. I'm just kind of going off of gut reaction. This movie is not perfect. However, I feel like it was completely adequate for the franchise we're talking about. None of the Tron movies have been spectacular. Granted, Tron Legacy was beautiful. I really liked the visuals in that film. I would have liked to have seen it on the big screen. Now that I have seen it, I would have liked watching it on the big screen. And I feel that Tron Ares, just a continuation of the storyline with better visuals, because now we're 15 years after Tron Legacy. And the storyline I thought was okay. I liked the visuals. I liked the score. Nine Inch Nails did the score for it, and I thought it really fit with the tone of the movie. In the beginning of this film, they kind of give you exposition through news broadcasts that have this sort of cyber feel to it, like it's being shown inside of a computer or something, cyberspace. In this part, they tell you Flynn's son from the second movie, he's left the company for personal matters, whatever. And they just leave it at that. And then they give you the whole backstory of what's leading up to this film, which is that Dillinger, was that his name? Dillinger? From the first movie, his grandson is now in charge. And his mother, played by Gillian Anderson, of course she's British. I thought that was hilarious. I forgot that Dillinger was a Brit in the first movie. He is a Brit. The guy who played him is English, but Gillian Anderson is not English. However, she does a fantastic English accent because she spent a lot of time in the UK when she was growing up. Some people don't know that about her. She's Dillinger's daughter. Her son has taken over the company. He's got some questionable ethics. Incom and Dillinger's company, I forgot what Dillinger's company is called. Anyway, they're both on the hunt for this permanence code, which is basically the ability to allow something that is brought from the cyber world into our world to be able to last indefinitely, or past the 29-minute mark that they are currently able to last. So they're both in this race to find this thing so that they can be the superior company. Dillinger's company is focused more on military stuff and fighting and things like that. And Incom is focused more on maybe the ability to use this technology to provide something good to humanity. And they also are still very much involved in video game stuff. So there was quite a bit about this film that I enjoyed, and some things that I noticed that I thought were kind of cool. Number one, the chick from Ginger Snaps had a very, very teeny tiny bit role in here. I thought she was going to have more of a presence because of who she is, but she just had like one scene. It was enough to make me notice it, and I wrote it down. Ginger Snaps actress. I also wrote down about Gillian Anderson. Why did I know she would be British in this movie? There was also something in here that I noticed that I thought was kind of funny, just because of the timing. One of the characters in here was reading Frankenstein, and that book is quoted at least once or twice. I don't know. Thought it was funny because Frankenstein just came out. Some other stuff I liked. One of the main reasons why I think Tron in general doesn't do much for me is because it reminds me a lot of the genre that I work in, or the genre that the audiobook company I'm part of works in, lit RPG. I'm not a lit RPG fan, you guys. I just don't care too much for it at all, which probably surprises some of our authors. The thing about lit RPG that just does not click with me is that in general, a lot of times the stories are just people from here going into the game and they're just living their life in the game and it's about what they're doing in the game. And I don't care. I don't care because it doesn't affect the real world here. Some of the lit RPG stuff that I have worked on that has appealed to me are things that involve complications or conflicts within the real world that might have something to do with the game. And that's what this film did, which in a lot of ways is why I enjoyed this quite a bit. Because unlike the first two films, this one has a lot of stuff happening in the real world. I don't know if there's more stuff going on in the real world as opposed to within the cyber world, if it's evenly balanced, or if there's more stuff happening in the real world than in the cyber world. But that really is up my alley, and I liked that a lot, because at this point in the Tron storyline, it is about being able to bring cyber things into the real world. So the plot in here reflected that. Other stuff I liked, I've already mentioned the score, the visuals, some cool stuff I noticed. There's a motorcycle chase scene, and there's that famous Akira shot with the motorcycle sliding sideways down the road. I don't know. I thought that was cool. I noticed that immediately. I just wrote Akira when it happened. At one point, the main character, she ends up in the cyber world, but that doesn't happen until almost an hour into the film. I like that a lot. Can you tell? Like, there's this theme. I prefer more stuff happening in the real world than the cyber world. And if stuff is going to happen in the cyber world, it needs to affect the real world for me to actually feel connected to the storyline. Some other stuff I liked was just the thematic tone of what it means to be human and the two different directions that the AI in this movie go in. You've got Ares, who has this confusing desire, he can't even explain it, to live, to know something beyond what he is in this digital space. And then you have Athena. She is just cold and calculating, following her orders. And I thought that was interesting because both of these characters, they depict two of the different possibilities that could happen with the expansion of AI in our world. You've got the Terminator AI that's just, they're going to follow orders and then maybe think a little bit outside the box and realize, well, the best way to take care of a situation is to eliminate humanity. It doesn't quite go that far in this movie. I'm just giving you an example. And then you've got the other side of this, which thinks outside the box, but thinks outside the box beyond what its directives are and decides it wants to explore this unknown. And I like that contrast between those two characters. There's a quote in here that someone said, the main character's talking with Ares and they're talking about life, and she said that the things that make life great are the things that make it excruciating, like love and loss. And that's something that's touched on quite a bit throughout, because her character has lost her baby sister and she's still dealing with the grief of that. And Ares is starting to sort of understand, or maybe not necessarily understand, but he is drawn to this side of humans, this loving and tender and empathetic side, this side of humans that makes us enjoy things like music and the 80s. That was a storyline in here too that I thought was kind of funny. Ares was obsessed with the 80s, especially Depeche Mode. So I thought this was a perfectly adequate film. You're not going to get anything super spectacular, but it's not really intended to be. And I really don't fully understand the negativity that has been heaped on this film. I did look at the audience score, and audiences generally have liked this film. So I felt a little bit more confident going into this that I probably would. And I did. I'm siding with the audience on this one and not the official critics. Having said all that, this film is not perfect, as I've already said. I felt that there was quite a bit of nostalgia bait going on in here. And because I'm not a huge Tron fan, it didn't really strike those chords in me that it was probably hoping to, but I recognized it was happening. If I was really hugely into Tron, would that sit well with me? Would I feel, oh, or would I be like, I know what you're doing, you're manipulating my emotions? I don't know. I just noticed it, that it was happening. Another thing that I really noticed, and you know what? These cons I'm mentioning, they're not huge. They're not anything that's, I mean, I didn't go in here and pick apart the plot because I know there's a whole bunch of stuff that could be picked apart if you really want to think rationally about this. Number one, this entire storyline would be ridiculous, okay? I mean, it just is, but the criticisms I have are nothing that make me want to tell you that this is a sucky film, that it's a disgrace to the Tron franchise, that you shouldn't watch it. I think if you like Tron, you should check it out, whatever. But one of the other things I noticed that really did start to kind of get under my skin was there were times where there was severe time dilation, where things that really should have been over quite a while before were still going on. And I noticed that significantly when there's a character who is outside of the digital world and they can only last outside for 29 minutes. You see a flash on the screen of how much more time they've got, and there was a whole lot more time going on in the story than what that time was. That was annoying. I wish they had paced that a little bit better. There were also times where there was a significant amount of time compression going on. People being able to navigate or go to places much more quickly than they could in real life, or things to be happening much more quickly than they could reasonably be happening in real life, whatever, real time, let's say. Noticing that, whatever, to me it is a mark against the flow of the story. But again, it's nothing that drives me to the point of just wanting to rip this to shreds. The story was okay. The acting was fine. Jared Leto was fine. I don't really have any huge complaints about this film. Is it going to end up on my list of favorites for 2025? No, but it's also not going to end up on my list of worst. Not even close. Maybe even a little bit above like a lot of the mid films I've seen. I enjoyed it. I had fun, and I just wanted to tell you that. Okay, those are my thoughts on Tron Ares. If you guys have seen it, what'd you think? Were you disappointed, or did you like it okay? I've seen some conversations about this and had a discussion with one of my fellow YouTubers about this, and he was like, I don't get the hate. It's not a great film, but it's not sucky either. It does its job. I agree. And with that, I'm done. Bye.